vision is the capacity to have an image of a long-term goal. Essentially, this world to which people want to belong, a better world. All vision is around, I think, develops around this belief in this idea that something can be made better, that there's, again, a context, a world to which people want to belong. As a good example, I think my very first client that I ever had as an organizational client was Apple Computer in the early 1980s. And one of the things that was very obvious is that there was this vision that was being pursued, and everybody in that organization knew it. You walk into that company and you would feel the electricity, the excitement of this vision. We're doing something, to make the world a better place. But it doesn't even have to be, okay, so Apple is a new technology, and since I come from the Silicon Valley area, I'm very, very much used to all the visions. Every organization in the Silicon Valley grew out of a vision of some sort of technological contribution. But I also know other companies. I had a wonderful opportunity to meet and work with this Mr. Lilly of Lilly Cafe. And his vision was about improving people's lives through coffee. So it didn't have to be new, great technologies, but his vision, and he really pursued it. It was very impressive, very touching, that everything he did, from the people that grew the coffee to the people that distributed it, the people that worked for him, the people that distributed at the airports and whatever, that their life was somehow improved through their interaction with that company. That you are, in a sense, improving your life and others through the work that you're doing. So to me, vision is this idea of, what is it that we want to do? Actually, one of my favorite examples of vision, there's they even have a video on it. It's called Fish. It's of the Pike Place Fish Market in Seattle. These people sold fish, right? And the guy that owned this place started to get bored and tired because they were selling fish and people would kind of come, employees would come and go. And one day he just couldn't take it anymore. And so he did this completely radical thing, which is he brought all the people that worked for him together and said, "What do you want?" And that's always the first beginning of vision. What do you want? And they were talking about so they were selling fish, but what do they want? And actually one of the people, I think at one point said, "Well, I want to be world famous," which of course is completely silly in a way. But they started thinking about that. What would it take to be world famous? If we were world famous, what would that look like? What would that be like? How would we be? Well, they'd be having fun. They would be interacting with people. They'd be feeling proud. And so they just started acting that way and did things like, instead of standing behind the counter, they would go in front of the counter and interact with the customers walking by. And of course, if they're in front of the counter and the fish is behind the counter, once you sold it, then you've got to get the fish over the counter. And so one of the things that happened is that somebody behind the counter would throw them the fish and they'd catch it. And so people would see that and start coming over, and they did this whole thing. And then sometimes they'd have the customer catch the fish. Okay, now you throw the fish to the customer. And actually, in a very short period of time, people would start to come from all over the world to go to buy their fish there because people were happy, they were creative, it was interesting, it was fun. And I think that's an example of how vision can take anything.